Guys, today I want to talk about something that has been going on for a while now, and it's a big concern because the amount of the thing has happened for a while, and the amount of people we see that has been deported, or we hear, sorry, that has been deported in the last few months or weeks it's really crazy, and I think I should talk about it on my channel. Okay, now it's on the news that about 6,000 people were deported in the last few weeks from the border in Canada, and yeah, we've been hearing about changes in the immigration policies of Canada that are official, which they have made open, they've made known, it's on their website and all of that. But I think there are also some unofficial changes that are going on that some people don't, or we may not know about, because the number of people who have been deported in the last couple of weeks is alarming. It's alarming. It's in the news, it's everywhere. So even people with student visas who have study permits were also deported. People with visas, work permits, So I think we should know about this. I think you guys should know about this, and that's why I'm bringing it to you today. If you are coming to Canada on a study permit, please make sure that you have every document that you need to come into this country with you. Don't keep them as soft copies. Even if you have them as soft copies, please make sure you have them printed out. Be prepared. And if you're coming to Canada as a visitor, please come in as a visitor. Do not have ulterior motives, or even if you have those, don't come in with things that can implicate you. You're coming for visiting and you're coming with so much foodstuffs that can give an immigration officer, a negative, sense, or that can ring a bell. Okay, and you don't want to be caught off guard. You don't want to, you're coming to Canada as a visitor and you have your resume, you have your certificates with you. That can ring a bell. So you want to come here with the right mindset. You want to come here prepared. So guys, you want to do your research. If you know that you are not sure of the documents you need to have when you are coming to Canada, when you are crossing the border, you want to do your research to be sure that you have the right documents. Okay, so if you know that you don't know, or you're not sure of the documents that you need to have when you're coming to Canada, you want to do your research to be sure that you have the right documents, so that you don't come to the Canada and you don't have what you should have. Okay, now looking at all that's happened within the whole year 2024, you would see that a lot of changes has been made in immigration policy in Canada. Now, prior to, I think from COVID up until 2022, the immigration policy was really relaxed, very relaxed, and a lot of people came into Canada that period, and they were lucky because a lot of things were good, a lot of things were easy. Now, take for instance, at the beginning of this year, the government changed the allowable, what they call it, proof of funds for study permits. People who want to come to Canada as students. Before 2024, what you needed per person, for the original applicant was about 10,000 Canadian dollars. Okay, that's what you need to have as your proof of funds. Okay, aside your tuition. But right now, in January, it was increased by 2, so about $20,000. You need to have 20,000 Canadian dollars. The primary applicant needs to have, and then for each dependent, which means maybe your spouse or your child. So for each dependent, you need to have an extra amount. I'm not sure how much that will be for each of them. Now, this is aside your tuition. So you also need to have your tuition for at least 1 year, aside from the 20,000 Canadian dollars you need to show as proof of funds. Now, this really makes it tough for people who want to come into Canada as students from this year, because with the increase in the rates, exchange rates, it's crazy, it's alarming. How do you keep all of these monies? This is just for proof of funds. This is just not your tuition fee for the course you are going to be going for. So it's not a lot harder. When this policy change happened earlier this year, we all thought that this was like a groundbreaker. A lot of people were like, wow, Canada has done it, but we never saw that. We never knew that more was coming. Now, before now as well, students in Canada could work for 40 hours if they can. If they are able to merge or cope with studies and work. But the government came up with another policy saying that starting from September 1st, 2024, that students on study permit must not work more than 24 hours when school is in session. So this means that when school is not on session, when they're on break, you can actually work 40 hours. But when they're in session, you cannot work for more than 24 hours. Now, this is another, another groundbreaker, because a lot of people came in with just what they needed for school, and they felt that when they come in here, they would get to work and then be able to augment their living expenses, basic needs like their rent, their groceries, commuting and all of those things by working. But right now, government is saying you can no longer work more than 24 hours if you are on a study permit during school session. With all the increase in foreign exchange, forex and all of those things, it becomes tougher for an international student here in Canada. Now, guys, the third policy change that threw us back was the fact that the government came up and said that if you're doing a diploma program or a certificate program, you can no longer come with your spouse or your kids. Guys, that one threw us off balance. Before now, you could come in, if you're coming to Canada with a diploma, you come into Canada with certificate course, you can apply with your dependents, your children, your wife can come with you. But right now, you can no longer do that. And this is the biggest, because a lot of people will be affected. Some people already have their applications in process when this was announced. So imagine the impact it will have on them. Now, you can only come to Canada with your dependents if you're coming for a master's or a PhD course. Guys, those courses are expensive, and a lot of people were coming through the diploma route, that. So most of these policy changes we saw coming kind of should have given us this light to understand that the government is actually retracing their steps, on their immigration policy. I know that Canada has been very easy on immigration before now, but I think that so many things have gone wrong, and the government is trying to see how they can, bring things back together, put like a hold on these things so that they don't escalate. And that's why they're bringing out all of these policies. And one thing I always tell people is that if you have something in mind, if you have plans to immigrate to a country, or you have plans for immigration, you need to do it when it's hot. You need to do it at the time when it's really in your mind, because you never know what can happen. These things, this immigration plan, these immigration policies, they are not static. They don't stay for too long. Changes come. And you never know what change can happen that might affect you and limit your chances of living or immigrating to that country you want to go to. So if you have plans to go to any country, start taking your steps towards achieving that goal. I know a lot of people are hot currently about this particular policy, and I know that a lot more people will be affected. What do you guys think about this policy change about not bringing your spouse? Because it's a very big limiting factor. Because if I was not able to come to this country, if my husband was just going to go and leave me back in my home country, of course to affect our that's not even marriage in the first place. So what do you guys think about this? I want you to leave your comments. I want to read from you and understand what your thoughts are. Are you planning to come to Canada and you were hoping to come with your spouse, but this is a limiting factor? Let me hear from you here and know what you guys think about this. Now, guys, even though these rules, these policies are kind of not welcoming, some people are not happy about it, but let's look at it holistically. Some of these measures are actually enforced just to be able to put like a grip on the immigration policy of Canada. Canada was actually very easy before, right? And that Canada is a very prominent country, like one of the G70 countries, and they will not want to lose their reputation because of immigration. They see that things are going not the way they planned. They see that people are complaining of cost of living. People are complaining that there are no jobs as they thought they were. People are complaining of inflation. People are complaining of all sorts, and of course they want to put measures that will mitigate these things. And that is why some of these, to my opinion, that is why some of these policies are being implemented, so that they can put a grip on the immigration policy and then put Canada back to the pedestal where it was. Okay, so Like I said, if you know that you want to take advantage of the immigration policy, start now. Do it when it is ripe. Don't keep procrastinating, because things can change. Things can change. It is true that Canadians are not even happy that people are being brought into Canada and they are struggling with the few jobs that they have. Yes, I hear Canadians say that they are not happy that they are bringing people in and they are struggling with the few jobs that are in Canada with them. Yes, so you know that because of all of these things that are going on, videos, people are saying all sorts. You go to YouTube, you see people complaining, Of course, the government is also watching. They have eyes, they can see, they can hear. So they are also trying to make things right. Another major policy that changed was the LMIA policy. I'm sure you guys have heard about it. I think I did something about this on my channel as well. But if you're watching around YouTube, you'll see that there's been talks about stopping LMIA. In fact, right now, there's been the big restriction on LMIAs, right? Now, during the COVID, that was when this LMIA thing started. And the reason why the government introduced the LMIA was because at the point of the COVID, the border was closed. So people were stuck. Some people who came with visitors visa were stuck. And they couldn't leave Canada. And so because they couldn't leave Canada, of course, they needed some source of income, right? You can't be here and be stuck. So the government said, okay, while you are here, while you are stuck, if you're able to get a job that can give you an LMIA, then you can convert to a work permit. That was the initial purpose of the LMIA process. Okay, so after the pandemic, I think by 2023, it was supposed to end in 2023. That policy was supposed to end in 2023, which was last year, February. But at the time it was supposed to end, the country was all still experiencing labor shortages. So the government said, okay, let's extend this for another 2 years, which is to go on up until 2025, February 2025. But because of the extension, a lot of people took advantage, especially the employers of labor, took advantage of this situation, and some scrupulous, not all of them, some scrupulous employers, they started, getting people into Canada in mass with visas, selling them LMIA, guys, selling these things to them. And this is actually bridging, this is not the original purpose of the LMIA. The LMIA was for people who needed it, because of this, what they did was they would hoard these LMIA jobs and sell it to people who can pay them so much money. And because of that, a lot of scams, a lot of fraud was going on through the LMIA program. So the government saw this, and saw that this was actually, affecting the original purpose. Now, people who need it, who should have it, are not getting it. People who don't need it, but see that they have money to, get it and get their way together, that are now taking advantage of it. And so they had to put an immediate, stop to LMIA. I'm sure you have heard about it in the last few weeks. It was announced that if you are in Canada on the work permits, you can no longer get an LMIA. You cannot get an LMIA and be converted to a worker here in Canada, guys. So some of these policies are, even though they are harsh, I feel like there are mitigations. There are things the government have to put in place to create orderliness in this country. Yes. So if you want to do something, do it on time. That's the reason why I say it every time. If you want to do something, do it on time, okay, guys? So you now know that Canada is currently going through changes, and more changes are going to be announced. I'm very certain about it. So if you have plans, you are putting up your application, put it in on time, and I trust God that He will make a way for you guys. Thank you so much for always showing up to watch my videos. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you on the very next one. Be good, guys.